So I use Nextcloud Talk, and my phone is de-Googled, so I have no Google services going on at all on my phone. Unfortunately, Nextcloud Talk depends upon Google Play services in order to receive notifications. And so if you install Nextcloud Talk from F-Droid, you will not receive notifications. Now, I use this app called Nextcloud Services for a while, and what it does is it every few seconds it will poll your server to see if there are more notifications, and your phone does this. And I really appreciate this person creating this app. My only issue that was coming up is a little bit of a battery issue. It's not bad. Not too bad, but I thought, well, I want a way to be able to poll the server for notifications without draining my battery. So I talked with my friend Chris, and I remembered him a while back talking about a script or something that he wrote to poll Nextcloud for notifications, and so he pointed me to. So I really appreciate Chris pointing me to this API capability to check the server for notifications. And he also helped me a little bit on the JQ stuff, provided a couple of tips on that. So what I'm doing with my script is I'm checking Nextcloud for notifications, and then I'm using ntfy to notify me on my phone of whenever there's a notification. And so I'm doing what's less efficient, not using a daemon, but polling. So that's the option here, because you just have to check it for notifications. So before we even get into talking about my script, what I opted for is to use a systemd service. So, well, here's my script. Just going to show my script. And I got this sleep 4 here. So then that goes 4 seconds. Minimize that. So here I'm on my server, and I have talk notify service. And here's my service file. And it's simple. I only restart on success, not on failure. That's for a specific reason, because I don't want to keep restarting it and potentially have an issue where there's a faulty reason for notifying, and then I get my phone gets pinged every 4 seconds, and that's definitely not what we want. And that's pretty straightforward, self-explanatory. Now, the second option of this, you can do a systemd timer. Now, cron tab is limited to running once a minute, but timers can run down to fractions of a second. I can't remember the exact measurement. Microseconds, I think, is the systemd timer can go down to that. So, in order to run what I'm running it every 4 seconds, and so you could use a timer. So here's my timer. This was when I was just testing this option. At the end of the day, I ended up just using a service file and an infinite loop and sleep 4. So there are different options, either this or this. You have to have that option. And then you need a service file. But that's not what this video is about. I just wanted to mention that option. So I'm actually... Let's see, I'm going to get rid of this. I'm actually running the script on my server. You can run it from any computer, though. You don't have to be an administrator on your Nextcloud instance to do this, because you just need your login credentials for your user on Nextcloud. But if you want to set this up, a service file to run as a user on a computer, well, let's go back to what I did here. I didn't grab this well. You got to create this directory .config systemd user. You create your .service file or your .service and timer file, and then you need to run this command, loginctl, enable linger, and then your username. So that way you can run a service file as a user. So that's the backdrop of how I'm running this using systemd. So now here we are at my script. And first off, I set these variables, my Nextcloud username and password. And then I just put that there. And once again, here you would have your Nextcloud URL and then /OCS. That's the path to the API there, the notifications under the API. And so because I'm using this on my server, I just have localhost. And if you're running it an alternative port, you know, you'd put the port number just like that. And then I'm also self-hosting Notify. I may have said ntfy earlier. It's kind of hard not to say that. So I might accidentally say that. It's the author wants it pronounced Notify. So I'll try to say Notify. And so I have a private instance. By default, I think that's open, but I have it private. And so it's accessible through a username and password. Oh, this is one thing that I failed to mention. This is a per app password that I created for use with curl. And then my ntfy URL. And then if ntfy fails, if notify fails, I just, for a few select things that don't deal with any private data, that don't carry any private data that I don't care about, I'll just use the ntfy.sh. I'll use my topic there. It's whatever you want this thing to be here, whatever your topic is, if you look at the Notify page. So I use 3 different instances of Notify. One is on my server, one I'll use this sparingly, not much, and then one on my friend's server. And so I've got a couple of functions here. One is in the case of a Notify error, as you can see. And then if there's any kind of log error, I have my talk notification log that I'm writing to. I've got my message. So that'll notify me if it exits. And here I've got an infinite loop. I didn't feel like tabbing all this stuff in because it's so much information. I tend to do that. If it's there's a lot of data between the loop. So notification data, and we got curl s silent, so don't print extra information. And then we have this header information, and then the user. And here I've got my username and password, and my Nextcloud URL. And if notification data is not what the default thing is, if there are no notifications, the notification data that I've just queried will be this. But if that's not the case, that means something's happened. That means that there is a notification. In which case, if there's a notification, then we're going to do all this stuff below. Most of the time, this thing's going to be looping. All we're going to do is get the notification data, and then it's going to say, no, it's the same. And then it's going to wait 4 seconds. But whenever there's a notification, this thing will be different. The notification data that we just pulled is going to be different than the default string that's output. There is the possibility that this could change, in which case I account for that in my if statements and my checks here below. So there's different data that you can get. There are different data that you can get from the API, from the notification, from the JSON. And I, however, just choose to get these three things. But you, of course, can use, you can pull whatever data you want. I'm using JQ. Make sure you install JQ. Otherwise, it won't work. Raw string. I don't want it to return and give me a notification that has quotes in it. And so I've got this data array. So I'm going to get it there. I could, in those 4 seconds, I could have 3 notifications, but I'm going to pull the first item in the array. So I could have 3 notifications, meaning 3 different sets of this data. And so I'm just going to get the first item, and then I'll be notified the next 4 seconds around of the next one. It'll go in order. All right, so I've been working on this and fine-tuning it over time, and I notice, when I'm doing an update, my notification script's exiting. And so before we run into this issue, I check to see, I check these things. So let's go over this. We're using a check here. And so we've got 2 square brackets. That's necessary for this to work. What this means is if this data, if this string is found in my notification data variable, well, it's just checking for that. So it's basically the equivalent. It's a fuzzy, it's a search functionality. It's basically the equivalent of using grep. You could do grep -q and grep for this item. So that's what this is, and that's bash specific. It's not sh. It's not. I don't think it's fe. I don't think it's a thing in sh. So that's why we need these 2 brackets. Or if this string is found in the notification data, or if there's absolutely no notification data, if it is of 0 value, I want it to sleep for 3 minutes. I think 3 minutes is probably pretty good to update everything. If not, it'll just exit and I'll have to restart it. So if any of those things are the case, are bound to be true, then we do epperstand. That was the case, and then we sleep for 3 minutes. And I run that before I get to this next check. So any notification is going to have a subject, at least to my knowledge it is, from all the notifications I've gotten in the last few weeks. So if there's no subject, then what we're going to do is exit, because something's broken. And what I did is I purposely broke my, when I tested, I did the wrong password. I changed the URL. I did all kinds of stuff, and I wanted to account for different scenarios when things could be broken. So if something's not working right, because this is an infinite loop, I absolutely want it to exit, because I don't want to get a bunch of notifications. So if any of these things happen, we run talk error. What is that? And what we do is I'm going to notify myself of the error using my ntfy instance. And now if talk error, if this doesn't work, this, remember this function is going to run exit1 on the script. Now if it doesn't exit, then it's going to say, hey, there's an issue querying both Nextcloud notifications and using my ntfy instance. So my script has exit right there. And then I use my backup notify URL right there. To notify me and let me know. And then the script exits. And then I look into what the issue was. So here's the non-error part of my script. If the subject contains the string, notice the tilde there, would like to talk with you. Person's name would like to talk to you. That's the subject. Then what I have it do, I have a separate ntfy topic called talk call. And then on my Android phone, I assigned my ringtone to that. That way, this could have been feature could be being added to the Nextcloud Services app on Android, where that was one of my issues. It would just ding whether it was a call or a message. And so with this script, I can actually make it ring when it's a call and ding when it's a message. I can control more in a more fine-grained manner what I wanted to do in terms of notifying me. Now, if it's just a missed call, now these don't have a message to them, or there's not a message. I think they might not have a message. Anyways, if the subject says you missed a call from, or someone reacted, so it notifies me of reactions, then I'm just going to include the subject in that. Yeah, because there's not going to be a message, and I think it was, yeah, anyways, that was my design after tinkering with it. I don't remember exactly what the message might have been. It might have been empty. Else, yeah, I think there was no message. Sorry. And I think then it just said triggered, and I don't like that. Now, otherwise, if there is an update to, for example, to Nextcloud, then this thing also tells me of updates. And in the latest version of Nextcloud 28.02, it's now integrated with my calendar. So I need to make an if statement for my calendar, and I need to decide how I want to handle that with notifications, because I don't want it doing the ding when I receive a message, that same sound for that with my calendar. So if there's no message, then I thought, well, I don't want it to just say triggered. I don't like that. And so this is totally, I just slapped this together, and it's totally prone to being breakable as soon as they change their website. But I thought, well, why not? I'll get the word of the day. So I get that every now and then. They don't have a notification for an update every single day, or other things that don't have a subject or don't have a message. But at least on some days, I get the word of the day. And then lastly here, this is going to be the case most of the time where it's just a normal message. And here it is. And then my ntfy URL /talk, that's my topic there. And then if that doesn't work, then it's like, well, notify on my server is not working. So then we'll run this function. ntfy error. And then we use ntfy URL other. All right, now what I do is I delete only the notification that has just been checked. And if it doesn't work to delete it, it's real important that this script exit, because we don't want my phone to, you don't want this thing to be a false positive and my phone to ding every 4 seconds. I think I've mentioned that before. So you need this header in order for the deleting to work. And then you send a delete request. And up above, we got the notification ID. So that's how we would delete the specific message. Notification ID, notif ID. And this is something particular where I wanted to do slightly different error messages, so otherwise that can kind of be disregarded. So if deleting doesn't work, then we run all this stuff in square brackets. That's being grouped together. Not square brackets, curly braces. So we set this variable, and then we run talk error if the thing didn't work. And this talk error thing, that should, if I successfully send a notification, that'll exit the script. But if it doesn't, then we'll run this, and we've got a backup notification system. So, but really, if all's working properly, none of this, the rest after these double vertical lines will run otherwise. All right, then we close our if statement and we sleep for. We sleep for all the time regardless. And of course, you can make it sleep as long as you want to. Okay, I hope this script will be helpful for you.